Do we have a master plan?
The master plans right now are your West Maui Community Plan, your Hele Maui Long Range Transportation Plan.
And we don't have one singular plan that has everything meshed up?
That is being developed as we speak, but it's going to build off what these recommendations, which came from extensive community engagement, those are going to be your baseline guides as far as what we've already talked about, what's already planned. So that all is going to get consolidated into a more kind of definitive plan for the recovery. There is a community planning RSF whose focus is to try and organize all these outreach events, all these plans to try and get that outreach and the community participation organized to inform how we move forward.
For instance, the community plan obviously has reference to Front Street. And if you take the sea level rise, probably Front Street shouldn't be there. So what are we going to do?
So when I look at the West Maui Community Plan, which is not that old, to which sea level rise was a factor, Front Street's still there. It's an open discussion. I don't think it's to the point of no build at this point. It's not clear what our sea level rise policy is at all right now.
Sure.
So I have several road projects falling into the ocean.
Yeah.
And I cannot get clarity between the state and the county about what should be done.
Ooh, that's good to know.
Managed retreat is thrown out there, but there is no detail behind what that really means and how quickly we do it. In the case of Front Street, practically speaking, that's your wastewater collection system. And if we need to move that whole main line and all those pump stations, that's huge. That's also stripping all those properties of that service. Implications are huge, and I think one thing that I struggle with is the timing of all this, right? Our sea level rise is a 100-year projection. There's still a lot of value in that infrastructure and those properties in the interim before they're totally useless. Do we throw all that away?
Go ahead, Member Sinenci.
But it sure sounds like maybe, a nice park along the shoreline.
How any individual commercial property or home on the shoreline, or how any public works project that's still subject to all the same regulations that has to be designed and planned and go through public outreach and go through review and approval by the Maui Planning Commission. That's all contingent on technical studies, community feedback, the findings of the design, findings of any new data or information that we'll have at the time that those projects are proposed, and then ultimately public participation in the public hearing and the decision by the Maui Planning Commission. So, but there is a process, and it is heavily regulated. There's only one way to do it is to take projects through that process. Still need to get a new SMA major permit and a new shoreline setback variance if it was going to qualify for a variance. We are creating a process where you can get ministerial permits, so that's administratively approved without a public hearing. You can get that for nonconformities, but inside of the special management area, and then even more so inside of the shoreline setback area, everything is discretionary. That stuff's extremely complicated. You're gonna have to take every single specific parcel and its layers of regulation and the scope of the project and do all these technical studies, take it through the public process, and that's how you figure out what it will be. So it takes quite a long time, months, potentially a year, to prepare those applications, and quite a long time to proceed through the public process for those approvals. So there is outreach process that will be ramping up. And I want to say that we really did our best to select a responsible scope for expedited permitting. So flood zone needs to be addressed prior to participating. Shoreline needs to be addressed prior to participating. Historic District 1 and 2 need to be addressed prior to participating. So the least sensitive of the regulated areas are the ones that are intended to run right through the expedited process. And those existing sensitive areas that require Cultural Resource Commission, Maui Planning Commission, flood zone permits, those are all going through their normal processes, and we're not trying to push or cut any of those corners.
But if we go through neighborhood by neighborhood, hold little meetings with the lot owners or the renters or the people who lived in those neighborhoods and say, hey, we can make it standard road width, 40 feet, curb, gutter, sidewalk. We're gonna take some of your land. If you wanna underground the wires, there's gonna be an expense. And just give them the option and have record of that. if it happens again, it's not 100% on us. They don't want to give up any of their property. Then it's more of a shared responsibility, accountability. I want to do what that neighborhoods want to do, but I don't want to assume, and I want them to be able to express to us that's what they want.